Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This week we have in-studio music from Rachel Loshak. Miara Blaustein of the Woodstock Film Festival is just back from the Sundance Film Festival, and she'll be by to tell us about that. And we start with Reverend Darlene Kelly of the Clinton Avenue United Methodist Church. Welcome to the show, Reverend.
Thank you.
So Kingston has a pretty strong faith community. We have your churches, we've got Catholic churches, we've got temples, we even have a mosque in Kingston.
You do?
Do you guys interact, or is there a real sense of community amongst you guys?
That's a great question, because until last year I was part of the Kingston Council of Churches, and now we're sort of reorganizing. So I think that recently a lot of the Protestant churches, at least, are coming together and saying, what's our purpose, how are we going to work together, and what are we going to do together. So we're in a time of transition for that right now. But I would say that overall, the faith communities in Kingston are great, and we do work together.
And some of the things you guys work together on is feeding the hungry. You guys have the Caring Hands food pantry at your church.
We do, and it's a soup kitchen and a pantry. So every day at noon, Monday through Friday, we serve a hot meal to whomever walks in the door. And we try to do a nutritious and something, hot and hearty on a day like today. And we also have a pantry, so if you're facing some food insecurity or you're worried about, feeding your family over the weekend when we don't have a meal, you can take some stuff home.
The term food insecurity is a relatively new one. Maybe you can
Yes.
sort of define that for folks.
Well, we're sort of thinking of hunger in different ways in America now. We have lots of families who are maybe making it but not quite making it completely. So they're making some choices. Entertainment, maybe that's out the door because everything now goes to putting food on the table. Or you have enough but not quite enough if you miss a paycheck or something happens, or there's a cost for
car repair
or something like that.
Emergency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Medical emergency. Now you've got some insecurity. So now that money is going to this emergency, and that's going to take food off your table. So we're trying to bridge that gap for people. We certainly don't want anyone to be hungry, but we also want to make sure that seniors and people, especially families with kids, are getting enough nutrition and getting good food in their homes.
And kids, when I hear about hunger in Kingston and in the surrounding areas, kids often come to mind because some kids who have food insecurity issues are fed at schools, right?
That's right. So if you have a day, summertime, the school's not in session, or you have holidays where, you get a week off for spring break or something, we see a lot of kids at the church. And so that's one place where our church can sort of pick up the slack in terms of, the nutrition programs at school. If they're not in school, we can provide a meal at lunch for the kids in our community.
And it's the weekend thing that kills me with the kids, because if you're being fed at school, a lot of kids are going home and they're hungry over the weekend.
That's
a hungry
right.
child, in our midst is almost inconceivable to me.
And once you've seen a hungry child, it's going to affect you greatly. So you're really going to want to think about where your money goes. And so I can plug giving our program some money.
Well, and that's why you're here, is because
That's right.
There are tough times out there. We had the Queen's Galley, which was a soup kitchen and a food pantry too.
That's right.
Closed down at the
That's
end of
right.
last year, which was kind of heartbreaking because they were feeding hundreds of people a week.
That's right. And so we're picking up some slack. So we've formed a new board of directors at Caring Hands, and so we're really trying to get some fundraising going and get some things initiated, and also get some information out to the public, because I think it's important for folks to know that if you donate to our church or to our feeding program, then we can use those monies to buy food from the food bank of the Hudson Valley. And the food bank of the Hudson Valley gives us a really good bang for our buck. So instead of, getting a chicken at the local, Hannaford's where you're going to, pay per pound, I can get food through the food bank and do much greater for, a large group of people. I can feed more for less money.
Yeah, and I know that the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley, because of their connections, can take $1 donation and turn it into $10 worth of food.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you want to always give to the food bank, and you also want to find a local charity. And ours would be a great local charity to give to.
Now, do you take food donations as well?
We can take food donations because of our pantry. So you want to think non-perishable. A lot of times when they have the Boy Scout food drive or they have the food drive from the post office in the spring, those two things help us greatly because they sort of give us a seasonal donation. But all year long, we're feeding folks. So if you're doing, a little closet cleaning out and you say, oh, I've got a couple cans of cranberry sauce I'm not going to use, or I've got some pasta, or you're going to the store and you think to yourself, I'm blessed to have enough for my family this week, so I'm going to get a couple extra groceries and I'm going to donate those to my local pantry.
Have you seen an increase in people coming to soup kitchens and food pantry in your time here in Kingston?
Absolutely, absolutely. And recently, the new board forming, we've looked at some numbers, and there's been a great increase of late. And I think that's a direct result of Diane and the Queen's Galley not being there. She and I sort of, picked up the slack for each other, and, we were open and they were open. And now we've gone from maybe a little less than 100 people a day to over 100 people a day. We're feeding, 111, 120. So our numbers have increased.
So Caring Hands Food Pantry in Kingston has a Facebook page.
It does.
A good place to send people to find out how they can donate?
Absolutely. So Caring Hands, and you can actually find us at the Clinton Avenue United Methodist Church, and our post office box is 1099, Kingston, New York, 12402. But look for us, Caring Hands, on Facebook, and the Clinton Avenue United Methodist Church has a Facebook page as well.
You're doing great work. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're watching Kingston Now. Next, it's Miera Blaustein of the Woodstock Film Festival to give us a review of this year's Sundance Film Festival. Welcome back to Kingston Now. The Sundance Film Festival is the most prestigious American film festival, and each January hundreds of film industry folk, including Miera Blaustein of the Woodstock Film Festival, descend on Park City, Utah to find out what's coming in the new year. Hi Miera, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Did you descend on Park City this year again? Yes, you did. Right?
I certainly did, yes. Among 50,000 other people from all over the country and the world.
50,000 people, right?
At least,
What's
yes.
the population? It must triple or the
population
of the city.
is about 8,000 people year-round in Park City, and they love Sundance because they make very hefty business throughout those 10 days.
Sure, and there's star power. People like it when movie stars come to town, and movie stars come to Sundance.
Absolutely.
In fact, it was a movie star who started it, right?
Mr. Redford, Robert Redford himself, and he's there every single year, by the way, unless he's shooting a movie, but otherwise he's definitely there throughout.
Now, Sundance started kind of a long time ago as a small indie film festival, and it's really grown to this 50,000 people show up for. A lot of Hollywood major commercial movies come out of Sundance. That's a shift, right? Do you think Mr. Redford is happy about that, or?
I think he's actually happier these days. Sundance has had an interesting arc. It began very small and super independent. It used to be called USA Film Festival, and so it really came out of the Sundance Institute, which was the first brainchild of Robert Redford, which was just an incubator for filmmakers. And as the festival began, nobody thought anything would come out of it, in the middle of nowhere, and really hard to get to. There's no airport. It's snowing all the time. The elevation is a killer.
Right, it's at altitude, yeah.
But it just blossomed very quickly, and now this year, when it celebrated its 30th year, it actually tried to go back to its roots, because what's been happening really at the point of the internet bubble, which was in about end of the 90s, towards the beginning of 2000, corporations took over Sundance, and it was just everywhere you would go, you would see the biggest corporations and the biggest movie stars, and it was just the heart of it, which was the independent film, was beginning to get lost. As that bubble burst, and corporations still were taking hold of the festival, but little by little, you could see that the essence of Park City and Sundance, which is the film and the filmmakers, was coming back to life. And this year, I think it was really very present. And actually, case in point is that distributors and critics and everybody was complaining that the slate this year is not as commercial as it used to be. Well, guess what? It's not supposed to be as commercial
Right.
as it used to be. It's supposed to be really independent and really full of heart and soul and vision and unique voices. So it happened. And filmmaker and everybody, the audience, myself included even, was trying to navigate and figure out the lineup. And what should we see? And is this going to work? Where? And who's going to buy it? And who's going to like it? Lots of very edgy films. Finally, good. So actually, there was really good films, but the interesting thing about it also, and everybody was pointing it out, there was not a single runaway hit. Nobody was talking about Beasts of the Southern Wild or Little Miss Sunshine, you know, those runaway hits that then went on to be nominated and win Academy Awards. There were a lot of good films, but nothing that strongly stood out. So we'll see what happens. A lot of good films, though.
Woodstock Film Festival bills itself as fiercely independent
Yes.
this year. It is October 15th through the 19th. You ever feel threatened like that this might happen to your film festival, that might become too corporately? No?
No, we're in Woodstock. I'm sorry. We're in Woodstock. It is not just that it is elevated. It's in the Catskills. It is a little remote because it's 2 hours away from New York City. There is no airport. There's not going to be an airport. There's not even a heliport. But the thing is, it's small. You know, it's every venue is small. And also, if you know Woodstock, and I know you know Woodstock, they're very strict on maintaining the pristine independence. There's hardly any corporate presence in Woodstock. When the CVS tried to open, you know, years ago, you know, people were protesting. Well, CVS opened, but it's really just about one of the only presence of actual corporate
Yeah, there are no
America.
McDonald's or anything like that.
There's not going to be. So the Woodstock Film Festival is really an extension of that, and because also myself and all of us who run the festival come from the independent film world, this is what we want. So I'm hoping that the festival will continuously grow in stature and quality, but not really in terms of quantity and having, you know, all the big American corporations descending upon us. They're not going to do that.
So in terms of the Woodstock Film Festival, coming out of a festival like Sundance, are there things that you saw there that you say, oh, I want to see that in Woodstock in October?
Absolutely. And not just in Woodstock in October, because, you know, Jimmy, this year we are celebrating our 15th year.
Yeah, 15.
So, yeah. So I want throughout the year to show films as we build up towards that event. So I'm already inviting actually films from Sundance to be showing in the area, not just in Woodstock, in Rhinebeck, and Kingston, and Rosendale, throughout the Hudson Valley, in the month leading to the festival. So I think and hope that everybody will get to see a lot of the Sundance Fair prior to the time that it will hit theaters or television or internet avenues. Here in the Hudson Valley with Q&As with the filmmakers prior to the festival, and then whatever is going to work will also be at the festival. So yes, I think we'll extend Sundance into the Hudson Valley pretty much.
Terrific.
Here.
Well, people can find out about those events on the Woodstock Film Festival website.
Yes.
And, you know, we're looking forward to seeing what makes it from the world, not just Sundance, to Woodstock come October. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This is Kingston Now. Coming up, it's live music in the studio with Rachel Loshak. You're watching Kingston Now, and with us is singer, songwriter, bassist Rachel Loshak. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you, Jimmy.
Yo, I'm used to saying, because I work in radio, I'm used to saying singer, songwriter. I'm not used to saying singer, songwriter, bassist.
Right.
But that's what you do, right? All
Yeah.
three of those things.
Yeah.
How did you pick up playing the bass guitar?
Well, back in England, I did a creative arts degree, and I worked with a bass player, an upright bass player then, and we did shows, and I had it as part of my degree show, and I really loved it, the sound of it, just bass and voice. But I played the violin and piano, and I didn't think any more about it after that. And then I moved to New York, and I was just hanging out with some friends and waiting to sing on something in this guy's studio, and there was a bass sitting there, and I just picked it up and started playing it. And then I think a few days after that, someone asked me if I wanted to do a show, and I said yes. And then I borrowed a bass the next day, and then 3 weeks later I did a show and did like 3 songs, I think.
And of course you make your own records now as a
Yes.
singer and a songwriter.
Yeah.
Your latest is called So Bright. It's been out for a couple months now.
Yeah,
Made here locally?
yeah, and Dean Jones in Rosendale.
Who is with
Dog on Fleas.
Dog on Fleas, yeah.
And Grammy Award winning
Yeah,
producer.
that's nice to have
Yeah.
next to your name and your producer's
Yeah.
name, Grammy Award winning.
Yeah.
It's I've listened to the record a number of times, and it's a fairly spare, not a lot of big instrumentation. It's your bass and some piano and some horns there. It's got a lot of space to breathe. Was that your intention when you wrote the songs, or did it work out that way in the studio?
Yeah, I think that my songs have always needed that kind of space, and I've never really had the opportunity to give them that space. And the records I'd done before, I did in studios in the city with a full band and drums and electric guitars, and my vocal was always the last thing to get done, and I always felt slightly disappointed. And Dean just let me come in and just let me do whatever I wanted, and he was really great at guiding me too, and knowing when to say stop. No, there's enough harmonies on that song, and I would say, oh, please, just one more harmony, and then he would let me do it, and then it would turn out that that was good.
You're married
Yeah.
to Morgan Taylor, who performs as Gustafer Yellow Gold,
Yeah,
a
that's right.
wonderful children's act. And you guys are performing together on Sunday, February 16th at
Yes.
Birdcliff in Woodstock.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a benefit for Planned Parenthood. How did it come about?
Rachel Jackson from Ingenious Art Group, a local Woodstock organisation, she worked with me to put it together. And she partnered with Planned Parenthood in the past and wanted us to work together with them, and I thought, I'm a big supporter of it, so I was happy to do that. And we get to do this great show at the Kleinert Gallery. I haven't played there before. It's a beautiful space.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous space.
So I'm looking forward to it.
A lot of musical history up on that hill. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you've brought your bass with you today.
yeah,
Would you favor us with a song?
I'd love to.
Great.
Thank you.
Just
I'm going
hold
to play Apple Tree.
Words don't come easy, sitting here alone in the cold. Here on the mountain, it's starting to snow. I left my family down there in the house on the hill. They may just find me, there's time for them still. I won't leave you hanging on. I know you need me to be strong. I'm not the hero fighting for life in my dreams. I'm just a person who wants to believe. I'm not so sure that I know how it's all supposed to be. When I was small, I thought by now I'd be me. I can't fall far from the apple tree. I'll come back when I find that piece of me. I feel the cold, but I can't let go. I don't recall who's to blame at all. I just know I felt the fall. I searched the mountain, looking for the peace in the snow. I'm not certain how far I would go. On the way down, I'm feeling all the hope in the world. I asked for help and everybody heard. I asked for help and everybody heard. I won't fall far from the apple tree. I'll come back when I find that piece of me. That piece of me.
That's it for this week's show. Thanks to Reverend Darlene Kelly of the Clinton Avenue United Methodist Church. To make a donation to the Caring Hands Food Pantry, find them on Facebook. Thanks to Miera Blaustein. For more about Woodstock Film Festival events, go to woodstockfilmfestival.com. And for more about Rachel Loshak and her music, go to rachelloshak.com. Remember, all of our previous shows are available on our YouTube channel, and you can find that link on our Facebook page. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. We'll see you next time.
On the hill, they may just find me, there's time for them still. I won't leave you hanging on. I know you need me to be strong. I'm not the hero fighting for life in my dreams. I'm just a person who wants to believe.